My guest was born in Jamaica, lives in the United States, and is building a 150-bed children's hospital in Ghana. Why? I want to know myself. And welcome to the show, Dr. Hartford Dawson.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Before we talk about the hospital, tell me about yourself. What was it like growing up in Jamaica?
It was challenging at times. However, as a kid in Jamaica, just being close to the ocean, to the water, was just beautiful. Walking 2 miles to school was great. Having friends who just like you, didn't have the best of everything. It was just wonderful. It was valuable to me.
And you were born in the same parish that Bob Marley was born in?
Yeah,
Marcus Garvey?
Yeah, St. Anne.
St. Anne.
The Garden Parish, or the Ganja Parish, I'm sorry. The Garden Parish. The Garden Parish, I just...
What is it like now? What's it like? What's St. Anne like right now?
St. Anne is a beautiful place with beautiful people.
Mm-hmm.
The ocean in the background and the wind is just comforting and just energizing and relaxing at the same time. And the people are warm, and it's just, if I should say, a chill vibe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not rushed like the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody will take their time, and people say hello and smile at you and actually wait to see how you're doing.
Yeah, a bit like Ghana.
Yes,
Yeah.
like Ghana, very much like Ghana, correct.
So you, at some point in time, you had to go to the States. What took you to America?
Well, my mom had relocated, and she filed for us. So she was the first one to get through. So she filed for us, so me, my sister, and my brother.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to New York when I was 19.
What was there a culture shock for you? I mean, Jamaica, New York, difference?
Yeah, the difference in the pace of life.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to a park in New York and seeing all these kids jumping and running, and I'm thinking, do you know all the opportunities you have? Like, you know? And so it was a culture shock, and being inside in the winter, I cried. I saw snow. It was so cold, and I had to be inside. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be back in Jamaica.
Where it's all sun?
Yeah, where it's all sun, it's
Mm-hmm.
all warm.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew I was there to utilize the opportunities that I didn't have in Jamaica.
Okay,
Yes.
so you get to the USA at 19. What do you do? What shocks you the most, apart from the weather?
What shocked me the most was how increasingly hard people had to work, and the capitalism,
Mm-hmm.
that everything seemed to have been geared towards making money on people and not just helping people. That was my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like in Jamaica, everybody would say hi, everybody would look out for you and work and interact with you, and you know, people just say good morning normally.
Yeah.
I remember I was at the subway one day and I said good morning to this man, and he looked at me like, what's wrong with him? You know, but...
Do you know me? That kind of thing?
Yes! And I was shocked, and my brother told me, no, you don't say good morning to people you don't know. I said, wow. That surprised me, that shocked me, but yeah, so I had to get used to that.
You had to get used to that.
Yes.
And you went to school. You have a tech background.
Yes, I have a tech background.
Where did that come from? Were you a fiddler when you were young?
Yeah, so when I was young, maybe around 7 or 8, we had a little brown transistor radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always curious, like, how does people fit into the radio? They're talking to the radio, like. So one day I found my dad's Phillips screwdriver,
Mm-hmm.
and I was alone at a part of the house, and I
Open it up.
Yeah, while it was plugged in.
Hey, that was dangerous.
Well,
You
I
didn't
figured if I turned it off, I couldn't hear the people.
Because the voices would go.
Yeah, so maybe they were sleeping. So I plugged it in so I could hear them, and I pulled it apart. Thank God I did not get executed.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue was I couldn't put it back together. I was disappointed. I didn't see the people. I think there's a girl in there who sounded kind of nice, you know, and I kind of probably wanted to see what she looked like. And so I was disappointed. There wasn't anybody, just all these wires and all this stuff. And so I couldn't put it back together. And my dad gave me a proper spanking, like proper spanking. A few months later, I looked at the TV. And
You graduated?
yes, I moved up. And I pulled the TV apart, and he beat me severely. Like, you could have killed yourself.
Exactly.
You know, so from that, I've always been curious. Anything to do with technology.
Mm-hmm.
Like now I'm in my element with AI and
Yes.
just generation and technological advances, just absolutely.
So you're a tech guy right from the beginning?
Yes.
And you studied that throughout your education in the States?
Yeah, so I have a undergrad degree in IT, which I might just add took me 21 years to finish a 4-year degree.
You had to-
4 different schools, a lot of student loans, just a whole mess. Because my mother, I'm not putting the blame on her, but my mom said, get an education. She said, if you get a nice car, you get a shoes, somebody could steal that.
Yeah.
But nobody could steal an education in your head.
True.
So I purposed to get an education. So when I finished the undergrad, after 21 years, I decided, okay, time to step it up. So I did a master's degree in IT, and then I did a PhD in IT education.
Nice.
And now I'm a college professor, and I also work for Verizon Communications. I'm in my 29th year.
What's it like teaching the young kids?
Oh, actually, I absolutely love it. And I'm not teaching young kids, actually. It's adult learning.
Okay.
And absolutely love it to see those who may have not gone at the pace like I didn't, and able to help them and give them hope and show them a future. And it's awesome. And a couple of those schools, which I teach online, are Christian schools. So I'm able to provide my Christian values and just
share the faith.
encouragement. Yes, because at the end of the day, in my opinion, it doesn't matter how much money one has or the fame or the fortune. What matters is their relationship with God and their fulfillment in life. And I think that's what we should all strive to do. Encourage, uplift others.
Before we talk about your connection to Ghana, I'm just curious, what does Mama think about you now as a professor? I mean, from when you were 19 and now what does she think?
She's obviously biased.
Of course, you are her own now.
Yeah, she's proud of me. And I think more so she states that she's proud of the man I am in terms of my Christianity, and that my drive is to uplift and enhance and encourage people.
Was it helpful when you were going through the tough times to remember what your mother said, that you can always talk to God, right?
Yeah, so 3 weeks after I came to this country, my older brother, I was living with him, and he said I could no longer live there because his landlady said her utilities had increased.
And it's you.
Yeah, and it took me years to really think about this because I came up here on the 29th of April, 1986. So 3 weeks after would have been the 3rd week in May. So the landlady wouldn't have gotten her bill until the end of the month. So I'm like, there were probably other reasons there. So he couldn't find a place for me, so he found a concrete basement in the Bronx. And I was on the floor for 6 months. Then he got a mattress for me. It didn't even have bathroom facilities.
You on the floor?
Yes.
Was there heating?
No, there wasn't any heating in the basement. But he did
Rats?
get... No, I didn't encounter any rats.
Thank God.
Maybe they're afraid of me, I don't know. So I was there. I never experienced hunger in Jamaica. I grew up in a 5-bedroom home in Jamaica with helper, or you call them a maid.
Yeah.
I grew up well in Jamaica, but when I came to the US of A, New York, I experienced hunger. I know what hunger pains are. And I bawled, I cried, I couldn't believe it. And I tried to hide that from my mom, but when she found out, she was like, you're going back to Jamaica? And I'm like, no, I'm staying here. And those are some dark, dark times. Depression, just to be hungry and not having food. But I look back to those days now and I thank God for those days, because those are the days when I learned who God was for myself, right? I didn't have to rely on what my mother said about God or my dad. I learned that God is really real, and I could pray to him and he would answer me. And if I could just keep on moving, I'll be okay. And if I could just say this to your viewers, if you're at a point where you feel stuck or depressed, or friends and family have let you down, don't give up. Trust God. He got you. He got your back. The thoughts and the plans that he has for you are good. So even when people give up on you or you give up on yourself, God will never give up on you. So I hope that encourages somebody today. Know God got your back. So I look back now and I'm like, thank you.
Amen. I don't want to remind you of the difficult days, but just briefly, what does it feel like to be very hungry with no hope of food around the corner? What was that like?
Yeah, and not just that, but being in a brand new country. It was horrible. It was horrible. And because I never grew up, I never experienced hunger until I was 19 years old. And I think about those who have experienced hunger and still experience hunger as children. Yeah, it was horrible. I didn't have a job I did have a job. I was making $3.35 an hour. That was the minimum wage in 1986 in New York. So at the end of the week, my pay was about $132.50. And when taxes came out, I got $90. And for that floor, I had to pay $75 a week. So I didn't have money to buy food.
15 out of the 90, 75 went for the rent. So
Yes.
You had 15 left.
Yes.
What do you do with the 15?
Buy cookies, buy juice, and I used to walk to work. Those who know the Bronx, from White Plains Avenue and 216th Street to Cedardale Drugstore, across from Barnabas Hospital in the Bronx. But I did it. I didn't want to sell drugs. I had friends, acquaintances who sold drugs, and they used to laugh at me. And I saw them in their bands and the girls and the clubs and the stuff, but I never saw my father sell drugs. And my mom always taught me to be a man of integrity, a child of integrity. So I refused to sell drugs, to smoke drugs, anything like that. And God has shown his faithfulness, that I did not have to go there. Because even now, I could go and visit some of those friends' graves in Jamaica. And I believe some may still be in prison after all these years.
So your parents put you on the right path.
Yes, they did. They did. I'm my Sunday school teachers, and yes.
And now your connection to Ghana. I mean, did you ever, before you came here, what did you know about Ghana?
He was in Africa. That's it. I didn't know anything about Ghana and not much about Africa other than the things I saw in the media, which I'm realizing now are not always true. Mm-hmm. They seem to throw the worst side of Ghana or the worst side of Africa until I came here. So I didn't know anything much until I stepped foot in Ghana, August 16, 2014.
Why did you come to Ghana?
So there's a missionary trip from my church, Debar Bethlehem Church in Queens. And they had a missionary trip, and I was invited to come and come on a missionary trip and to speak at one of the conferences, a Pastors and Leadership Conference. Mm-hmm. I said, sure. And so that's why I came to Ghana.
When you told your friends, did you tell your friends you were coming to Ghana?
Yeah, I told some folks.
What was their reaction?
It was like, Ghana? Like Africa? Be careful, maybe lions will come and get you, and that kind of stuff, but,
Were you worried?
No, I wasn't worried at all, because I really wanted to see the homeland. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to set foot here and see, just experience with people. And I heard it was a lot like Jamaica, mm-hmm. where I'm from, so yeah, I really look forward to coming.
So when the plane touched down and you got out of the plane,
what
did you think?
And I told my wife this, once the plane touched down in Accra, mm-hmm. I just felt at peace. I felt like I was home. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I am home. Like, I felt a welcoming. It was, nobody said anything, like, I just felt it. And I felt so at peace and at home with Ghana. That's one of the reasons I love Ghana so much. I really believe that my ancestral line is right in Ghana, specifically Suhum. I say I'm Suhumian.
One time.
Yes.
Yes. We'll get to Suhum in a short while. So you came to Ghana 2014. You did the missionary work. Did you get to explore a little bit?
Yeah, we went to Elmina Castle.
Yes. You got the story of the transportation of the people.
Oh my goodness.
You did the experience. You went into the dungeons.
I went in the dungeons, and one of the things that shocked me to my core was that above the dungeon was a church. And so I asked our guide, I'm like, are you telling me, am I to assume that while my brothers and sisters were naked and chained in a dungeon, there was a church above where people were praising the God I know? He said, yes. And that just messed me up, man. It really did. It really did. I said, how can we be praising God who sent his son to die for all? We have slaves who are screaming and in filth, and you are, I still have not understood that to this day, but that day has bothered me greatly. But other than that, seeing the door of, or the gate
no return.
Of no return, and like, my God, yes.
It was a very emotional experience.
Oh yeah, almost traumatic, I would say. Yeah, it was mentally traumatic for me to see how people, because of the color of your skin, can treat you worse than an human, and would even treat an animal better than you. Yeah, I can't comprehend that.
Did it shake your faith as a Christian?
Oh no, it didn't shake my faith. It's a great, yeah, it didn't shake my faith because I realized that I should not see God through the eyes of people. I should see God for who He is. And oftentimes people have an issue with going to church or with Christians or all this stuff. But once we know who God is, people are people, they're going to mess up, they're not perfect. We must always see who God is.
Who do you see God to be?
Oh, He's my everything. He's my hope. Without Him, it wouldn't be worth living. If I never knew God for myself, and like I look back to those days of being hungry and not selling drugs, and my friends were doing it, and I see how God has brought me out, how He has answered my prayers. Not all my prayers, but He has answered my prayers that He needed to answer. And when He is ready to answer the others, His prerogative. He'll do it whenever.
But do you understand how some people who visit the Elmina Castle and all these slave forts, they come out and then they become very antagonistic to us white people. They don't want to do anything with religion.
Yes.
They just say, no, I can't do this. You understand those people?
I understand them to a degree, but I don't accept that, because to label all white people as racist is not a correct representation of all white people. Not all black people are the kindest either. There were black slave owners, no? And there were guys in the neighborhood, black guys, who sold out the slaves as well.
Correct.
So it's not only white folks who are involved, there are black folks as well. So all white people aren't demonic or devil, and neither are all black people.
But it still was a traumatic experience for you, just going through that place.
Oh, it was a traumatic experience for me, and especially when I went into the female dungeon and walked there, and they were saying all the females were there naked and tied up. Some obviously were at times were going through the menstrual cycle, and their feces and they're putting the food through the little hole. God help us, man.
Amen.
God help us. That we believe. Some people can believe at times that people are not as important as they are. When the same God sees us all the same and loves us all the same, what He does, He looks at our heart. So my prayer has always been as David's, creating me a clean heart. David messed up big time. Creating me a clean heart and renewing a right spirit within me. And at the end of the day, when I'm laid in my casket and I see Him, I want to hear well done. So I'm not interested in having the biggest house or the biggest car. Those stuff don't interest me. What interests me more and pushes me is to be a servant to people and to be impactful to people and to put a smile on people's face and to let people know that no matter where you are in life, there's hope. And God is that hope.
Which takes me to an experience you had in Ghana, which is fundamental to this hospital. Malaria. When I say malaria, what does that mean to you?
Malaria means a lot of different things to me. Malaria is a God-changing moment in my life, a time when I really got to know who I was. So I could talk about that,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we went to the Suhum Government Hospital. We brought food from my church to the children, and I looked in a ward. It's not really a ward. It's like a huge room with 18 beds. And the beds were packed. Some beds had 2 and 3 kids in them, like single beds now.
Overcrowded.
Yeah, overcrowded. And I heard their pain. I heard them screaming. And my heart just broke. And one of the things that came to me first was, my God, there are animals living in people's houses in America that live better than these children. there are veterinarian hospitals that are posh. There's a luxury one near to my house. That animals. And I'm looking at my brothers and my young brothers and sisters living in a hospital in this condition without not a lot of medical care. And my heart broke. My heart broke. And I remember asking the nurse in charge, I'm like, what do you guys need? She said, we need medical supplies badly. And then again, I started to think of so many of us are rich. And these children just so wrong, just hurt my heart. And I remember saying, God, if I had $1 million, I would build them a hospital wing. But I saw that it hurt me, and I got back to the United States, and 1 week, okay, I'm still thinking about children. 2 weeks, their memory began to fade, and 3 weeks, the impact they had on me softened. And almost as if I was away from it, it wasn't really happening. And 59 days after I returned to the United States for my first trip to Ghana, I was at work, and I started shivering uncontrollably. I just couldn't, I was just shivering. And my manager at work said, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. So she said, all right, I'm going to drive behind you home. I'm going to take you home. I said, no, I can drive, So she drove behind me home. And I told my wife, who is a nurse, an RN, she came home in the evening and she said, go to the hospital. I said, no, I'm good. It's just flu. I mean, she's a nurse.
Yeah.
I am.
You're not, but you're telling you okay.
And I'm telling her what's not wrong with me and what. And she said, okay. She gave me Motrin, and the fever subsided. And the following morning, came back ferociously.
The chills in there.
Yes. Started sweating, and she said, go to the hospital. I'm like, I'm taking some more Motrin. And I went through the entire weekend like that until Sunday night was horrible. I felt like I was going to die. She said, she didn't even have to say much. I'm like, okay, I'm going to the hospital. And I went to Winthrop Hospital in New York, in Mineola, Long Island. And I went there, and I have a picture somewhere. I got in there, and the first question that was asked, have you traveled recently? And where? I said I was in West Africa. They said, okay. They put on a mask. And in 2014, at that time, was the whole Ebola crisis. So initially, they thought I had Ebola. They questioned me. They said, okay, you're in the country more than 21 days. The symptoms started 59 days, so it's not Ebola. I was like, oh, thank you, God. Then they isolated me. They took my blood. They tested it, all these tests, and they weren't able to find out what was the cause.
They didn't have a test for malaria?
No, or they didn't test for, no, they didn't. One day, like the third day I was there, and at this point I have congestive heart failure, I have enlarged spleen, I have fluid in my lungs, and I'm unable to breathe on my own, so I'm on oxygen for 3 consecutive days.
Wow.
And one doctor who was actually the head of infectious disease at Winthrop Hospital came in, and she had 3 other doctors with her. And she asked my wife, who was in the room, if she could excuse herself from the room. Like, I'm thinking, my wife is a nurse, why would they ask her to leave? But I didn't say anything. So my wife left, and I won't say her name. She said, Mr. Dawson, I'm pretty sure of the issue. And I said, okay, what is it? She said, I believe it's HIV. It's HIV. And I said, and I must have had this glazed and just look on my face, HIV? And she said, yeah, many people have HIV, and as long as you take the medication as prescribed, you'll be okay. And I couldn't talk. I was like, and now I'm starting to think all kind of thoughts. I'm a married man, right? I'm thinking all kind of thoughts. And she leaves, and my wife comes back in the room, and I told my wife, and she was so cool. She said, yeah, I figured that's what they're going to say, because that's how it's practiced in my hospital as well. She worked in a different hospital. And I'm thinking, is it me? I mean, is it my wife? I mean, how do you
get HIV?
Yeah, yeah. So I had to spend a whole night not sleeping, in chills, thinking I have HIV. I have 3 young boys at the time. I'm going to be daddyless. They're going to be daddyless. And I'm thinking, I don't know. It's over for me. And I cried, I bawled, I prayed. I'm like, I don't know, but it's it. It's it. I just got to deal with it. Following morning about 10:30, another doctor came in. The previous doctor, she never came back. Another doctor came in and said, Mr. Dawson, you have malaria. I said, malaria? Not HIV. They said, no, it's not HIV. She said,
Where did HIV go? I mean, you could have died out of shock with the HIV
of course.
diagnosis.
And my wife could have moved out the night.
Exactly.
I'm
with
just
the, with
saying.
the children.
Yeah, it still pains me. You know, it still does, but I've learned to forgive her. But when I think about it, it still pains me.
Was that the first time you've ever had malaria?
Yes.
You never had malaria in Jamaica?
No.
Is there malaria in Jamaica?
Not really, not that I'm aware of. You know? So the doctor came in, another doctor came in the morning and said that we send a sample of your blood to the CDC, Center for Disease Control. And they determined it was malaria. And I said, I know HIV, right? I said, no, I was so upset. I was relieved, but I was upset.
Of course.
I was. So they said I
in
had...
the hospital bed, you were angry.
Of course, I was hungry. I was pissed. I like, how dare she, and she identified herself as the head of disease, infectious disease control.
So the big boss.
The big boss. But then, how often do we pass judgment on people without knowing their situation?
Exactly.
How often do we pass judgment on people without properly diagnosing them, or knowing their history, or knowing their pain, or knowing their past? Because of how they behave, sometimes we write off people, but we don't know what they've been through. You know, so that in itself helped me to just have even more open heart to people. You know, people who might treat me wrongly or what, just to listen to them, see where they're coming from. But yeah, that was a big lesson to me.
Yeah, I mean, you survived the wrong HIV diagnosis, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. So
now the treatment.
Yeah, so I've been treated with blood transfusion. I'm on with the oxygen 3 consecutive days. I couldn't even shower on my own. I couldn't use the toilet on my own. I was like a baby.
Yeah.
I needed help to...
That was severe malaria, you know?
Yeah.
Really?
And it hit in my body for 59 days.
Whoa.
And listen, 8 of us came on the trip. We all got the same medication. I took it every day. I never missed a dose.
Yeah, because before you travel, you take the medicine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and during the travel...
Prophylactic, yeah.
And I think 30 days after, I took Malaria. And we all did. But I was the only one out of the 8 to get malaria. I didn't know why until the Thursday night. So I'm lying down, I'm trying to sleep, but I can't really sleep. And this big mask on my face. And I remember about 1:30 in the morning, I was on my back, I jumped up. The oxygen mask fell off. And I was breathing. Okay. And then I began to hear in my spirit that this sickness was not unto death. That I needed to get sick so I could feel the pain of the children in Suhum, Ghana, so that I would do something about it and build them a hospital. And I started a hospital. I started to bawl, man. I started to bawl. I said, God, whatever you want, whatever you want. I bawled. I said, God, whatever you want. And then...
Because before the malaria, you were beginning to forget about them, right?
Yes.
So this was like a reminder.
Oh, a starch reminder. A powerful reminder.
Divine reminder.
A divine reminder, yes. And so I bawled and bawled. I said, okay, God, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do. And I heard, you need to form a non-profit organization. Name it Love Without Walls, like Love Without Walls, yes. And I heard, because we need to love people without the boundaries of any walls of color or race or belief or anything.
Just love.
Just love like how God loved us, that he sent. Jesus said, whosoever, believe it. No condition. Whoso, as long as you believe, it doesn't matter your color, your race, your creed, your race, your creed. And I said, oh God. So I was working on my PhD at the time, and I had my laptop in the bed, and
In the hospital?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I had to still do schoolwork.
Yeah.
And I typed in lovewithoutwalls.org. And I saw that it was owned by GoDaddy. and it was, I think, $27.44.
Boom.
And I just bought it.
Yeah.
I said, okay. And then I heard, start raising some money because you're going to build this hospital wing for the children. I'm like, okay. So the following month, I told my wife, I told my friends, I called everybody. I think some thought I was hallucinating because of the fever.
Yeah, malaria can do that to you.
Yeah. So, and this was in like October now. And I said, okay, I'm going to do a fundraising gala so we could raise funds to build it. And people are like, it's a couple weeks before Christmas, man.
2014.
Yes, a couple weeks before Christmas. People won't give. People, you can't do this now. And they convinced me. And I said, okay, all right. And I went to bed at night. And I had a dream that God visited me. And he said, what did I tell you to do? Don't listen to people. Do this. I said, okay, God. So the following morning, I got up and I told everybody, I'm going to do this. What we're going to do, who is with me, but this is what I'm going to do. And so they joined with me, some of my closest friends, who are all members of the Love the Awards board now. And in 2 weeks, we planned a gala on Long Island, this place, Chateaubriand. And they raised $14,000. And I said, God, Jesus.
Nice.
And one thing that God told me as well, that you're not just a charity, it's a ministry. And one of the things he told me that nobody from the charity, not me, not anybody should make any income. All the money should go to the children. And so that's what we've been doing. It's taken a while, but we are almost there. We're almost there. And I'm very thrilled and what I see the construction is today. So we had groundbreaking in 2016.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you're building. Where are we now? I mean, what's the plan? When you close your eyes and look forward to the opening, what should we be seeing?
Should be seeing hope. Should be seeing God's love. One of the things that God told me in the hospital is that the children in Suhum and children in Africa will know that he loves them just like he loves the children in America. So I see hope, I see optimism. I see children, I see mothers not having to walk miles to the Suhum Government Hospital and being turned away because there aren't enough beds. I see children coming there and having hope. I see them having TV. And one of the things I insisted on the construction is that they have AC. Because that's something God told me. Yeah. They have to have AC. They have to have AC. Cool. For the fever, you have to have AC. So that's all been put in and wired up for AC and everything now.
So is this installation connected to the Suhum Government Hospital, or is it a standalone thing?
No, it's on the Suhum Hospital grounds.
Okay. Cool.
So the government gave us the land. So now it's not just a wing, it's a separate hospital.
Exactly.
I committed 1 floor to them, but it's a story building. It goes up 5 floors.
Okay.
So I committed 1 floor to them, and they can go up the 5 floors. I was there on Tuesday. I was there on Wednesday, and I met with the chief medical doctor, the hospital administrator, many nurses and doctors, and they're very excited of what they see and just very hopeful. And it's just, only God could have done this, man.
Did I hear 150 beds?
Yes.
Wow.
At least. So they can go further and add to that. Coming from a facility that had less than 20 beds.
This is amazing.
Yes. Yeah, God is amazing, man.
If you think about the malaria is which kind of triggered this whole thing.
Yeah. I don't even want to think it's a mosquito. I'm trying to figure out if it's a female mosquito or a male mosquito. Right? Like,
I think it's the females that give us malaria.
You sure about that?
Yeah, the men just fly around, man. It's the women who do the action.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely a female mosquito.
So it was a female mosquito that God ordained to come and bite me. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Absolutely, because I was the only one who got it, like I said. And I think it had to do with me saying, God, if I had $1 million, I'd build them. I just said it.
Yeah, because you were forgetting.
Yes, I was forgetting. I really was. I really was. And God swiftly brought me back to the moment.
What are the challenges involved in raising money for a project like this? Who do you have to convince?
Okay, so...
How did you get the funding?
So one of the disadvantages, or I wouldn't say disadvantages, or challenges, is that people hear Africa, and that's the truth. They're like, "Oh, Africa, scammers," and that's one of the things
Yes.
that we had to overcome.
So mindset.
Yes, a mindset.
Perceptions.
Yes, and I applied for several grants,
Okay.
and none of those grants were honored. That's one of the reasons it's been taking 10 years, going 11 years now. But I just want to give kudos to my Bishop A. Curtis Douglas of Daybar Bethlehem Cathedral, and all the members of that church, including all the board members, our former pastors, Overseer Kid and Pastor Nor Kid, who went in their pockets and donated. And I work full-time at Verizon Communications, one of the largest tech companies in the world. And they heard the story, and so they know match employees' donations one-to-one.
Oh, wow.
$25 to $1,000.
Nice.
Yes, and we have folks who have given $1. Some have given $100. And also because none of the money is paid out in salary, it all goes to the children. It has helped us, it has benefited us so much. And it's been a slow and long journey, but we're almost to the end of the road. So
You can see the finish line.
yes, sir, and I'm grateful.
How much do you think has been sunk into this project?
It's about 200,000 US dollars.
Wow.
Yeah. And we actually had to, I think that you asked about the challenges, right? So we actually had to change contractors too, as well. Because found out the original contractors weren't following everything up to code. For example, they had the facilities for the bathroom, but no cesspool. Like,
It doesn't make sense.
like nowhere for the
Like ways to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another thing too was they didn't have an exhaust system. So if you're gonna have children with infectious disease, there gotta be air.
Always aerated.
Yes. Even the very windows that were done originally were not louver windows, so we could get the full flow. And so a lot of challenges. It took me some while to realize that, and part of that issue was not coming to Ghana twice a year to check on it, right?
Yeah. Because I'm imagining you're in New York.
Yes.
And who's on the ground?
Yes.
Watching things for you.
Yes. And trusted that person watching things, who was a man of the cloth. And so I was really disappointed in how things were done, and things weren't done. But God led us to this new contractor now just by divine interference, and oh my goodness, did a lot of corrections, opened up walls, as you'll see on the video, and just, I mean, the nurses, the doctors, everyone's like, whoa, 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 whoa. But it's all God. Anything that God starts, He's going to finish.
Big time.
And to your people again, and to you, and whatever God has started in your life, He will finish. Don't stress. Don't sweat it. Don't jump off a bridge. Just trust God. He's going to work it out. I've had sleepless nights. I mean, this has been going on 11 years.
Yeah.
But I've become stronger in my faith, know that whatever God has started, He's going to finish. So I want your viewers to know that. No matter if your children are giving you issues, if your spouse is giving you issues, don't take it upon yourself, right? Just trust God to work it out. He will. Your future is in His hands. And my trust and my faith has grown so much that if I were to doubt God for anything, He should take my life. Because I know what it feels to be hungry, not seeing a future. I know, but I know He has brought me through, and He continues to bring me through, and that the children, in particular in Suhum, are going to be blessed. And I understand now from the chief medical doctor that it's not just going to be a children's hospital. They're going to have, they believe it's going to be the hospital that's going to serve Western Ghana.
Wonderful.
And that's just awesome.
Plus, you've experienced malaria too, so you know how it feels.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I knew how it felt when I was in AC. I had air conditioning. I was in America. I was in a beautiful hospital where I loved the bed.
Yeah.
What about these children who are experiencing it now on a broken bed, a small bed with no AC, not even TV? What about them? So I'm happy I went through that now. At the time, I thought I was going to die. In fact, I was in the hospital ICU for 9 days, and on the 10th day, I was discharged, and my chief medical doctor said to me, "We didn't think you were going to make it. We didn't think you were going to make it. Didn't look good." And I said, "Well, God." Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the grand opening. Yes.
When is that scheduled for?
So we're looking at the grand opening for about March 2026.
About a year's time.
Yeah, about a year's time. We are only short right now $30,000 to completely finish the structure.
Nice.
And then already applied to get grants for beds and stuff. But
how can people give?
Yes, thank you for asking. So people can give first through prayer. Pray for us because it's all in God's hands with His help. But people can go to Love Without Walls, lovewithoutwalls.org, and donate. It's a U.S. charity, 501c3 charity, where it's a tax deductible donation. So you can go there and donate there as well. And to know that all the money is going to the kids. Nobody gets any salary. We're all volunteers, just doing what God called us to do.
When you think about your life, I mean, you're born in the Caribbean, lived in North America, making an impact in Africa. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings?
My main feeling is that God is amazing. And that if we allow ourselves to get out of the self space for me, myself, and I, and try to be available to God for Him to use us for His glory. After all, we are His hands and His feet on earth. Jesus is in heaven, God is in heaven, but we are the light of the world. So I want to be a light, and I wish everyone can be a light to people everywhere.
And what's your message for the people of Suhum, especially the children?
God loves you just like He loves the children in America.
Anything else you want to say as we wrap this conversation up? Anything on your heart that you want to express?
Yes, well, I want to thank you and your crew as well for having me.
Thank you.
I want to say a big thank you to Ben Dotson-Malloy.
Yes, Uncle Ben.
Yeah, Uncle Ben made a connection,
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm grateful to him as well. I want to thank all those who have donated and prayed for us, whether it's been $1 or $500. Thank them as well. And I just want to say that we are all responsible for our own actions, but we may not be able to change the world at one time, but we all can make a difference, whether in the life of our children or friends or family, even a stranger. Just a smile could change somebody's life and give them hope. So my message is that we all look in ourselves and see how can we make a difference. And again, it's not always with money. It could be with an encouraging word. Somebody's rude to you, a smile. I give them a smile. They are rude because of a reason, not to make an excuse, but just treat everybody with love and care. Like as we say in Jamaica, it's one love.
All the time.
One love, yes, yes.
I'm going to teach you, God bless you, first of all.
Okay.
And I'm going to teach you in my language.
Okay.
Mau ne yirawo. Mau. Say mau.
Am I going to bite my tongue?
No, mau.
Mau.
Ne.
Ne.
Yira.
Ira.
Wo.
Maru net ira wo.
Mau ne yirawo.
Ah.
Yes, Uncle Ben will love this.
Yes, God bless
It means
you.
God bless. Mau means God.
Yes,
Eternal.
okay.
Never dies.
Okay.
Yes, God bless you.
Thank you. And can I teach you something?
In Patois?
No, I'm going to teach you something in Suhumian.
Yeah, man.
What God cannot do doesn't exist.
One time. One love.
Yeah, one love, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harper Dawson. Building a 150-bed hospital in Suhum, the eastern region of Ghana. From Jamaica through the USA to Ghana with love. One love. All the
One
time.
love.
All the
One
time.
love. Peace.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, blessings,
Yes.
blessings, blessings, blessings.